Hello, hello, everyone. This is Kelly Beard of KarmicTools.com, and tonight is our Venus Circle, which is rooted in Aquarius, where we're reclaiming at the third eye chakra and looking to embody the Alchemist. So we have a very special guest. Teresa Reese is going to be with us shortly, who's going to speak on that too. So I'm so excited to have her here, and we're so blessed. She's got lots of gifts to share. But first, let's anchor the circle and unify the energies. Relax into your space and be here now, right? Let's take a few deep breaths while I call in the four directions. Take a deep cleansing breath in, connecting above, below, and at the heart. Deep breath in. And hold and release. I invite each of our benevolent angels, loving ancestors, personal animal guides, and helping spirits to be with us tonight. We each have a powerful, invisible team of support, and it's even more potent when we bring them together like this. So let's focus at the heart chakra, feeling that expansion, taking some deep rhythmic breaths as I speak, making that connection, breathing as if you're breathing through and from your heart, calling up the most joyous feeling you can conjure in this moment, and picturing a beautiful emerald green crystal infused with light from within and spinning brightly. Here we're making that connection to the heart chakra. We're honoring the direction of the east, which is an initiation point where we access the inner wisdom of the mind and the element of air. So take a deep breath in right there. And hold and release. Come on down to your power center. Picture a beautiful golden yellow crystal infused with light from within and spinning brightly. Here we honor the direction of the south, which is a culmination point, where we access the inner wisdom of the spirit and the element of fire. Take a deep cleansing breath in and make that connection to your own solar plexus. And hold and release. Come on down to your creative center, picturing a beautiful orange crystal infused with light from within and spinning brightly. Here we honor the direction of the west, which is a completion point, and where we access the inner wisdom of the soul and the element of water. So connecting to your own energetic flow and creative flow. Deep breath in right there. And hold and release. Come on down to the roots. Picture your favorite ruby red crystal infused with light from within and spinning brightly. We are honoring the direction of the north, which is a conception point, and where we access the inner wisdom of the body and the element of earth. So we be here now. Deep breath in. And hold and release. All right. Welcome, welcome, everyone. I am so excited to do this tonight. When we get to the reclamation side, it's always a lot of fun. So real quick recap. Last month was Capricorn and Venus's first stop since she lingered there, November to March. So I looked at it like a kind of graduation for us. How far have we come since we did that deep cleansing and clearing in the Capricorn house? Where are you at now? Not basically 9-10 months later, how's it going? Can you feel where in the last month or so a new inner authority and purpose is emerging, and where you're starting to solidify your structure and plan and getting organized? Are you feeling that? Did you feel that? And are you working it, right, consciously? We want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success in a way that if we get organized now, and we talked about this, when she lingers in Leo and asks us to go and revamp all our creations and all our creativity and our self-expression, and we're probably going to get a new look or a new hairdo or something will happen where we're expressing in a completely new ways. If we get organized now, which means taking care of any debt or obligations and clearing things that weigh you down and clearing out situations that don't bring you joy and life and vitality, so that when we bring that vitality in, you can really enjoy it. If we don't get organized now and take advantage of this energy to set up a personal rhythm and routine and a structure, then when it comes to that time and you're questioning how you want to express, all the self-worth, self-love, self-value issues will pop up. And not that we're not going to have to clear some of that anyway, because it's just what time it is. Every 8 years we do a deep cleanse in the Leo zone. But at the same time, the better off you are now, the better off you'll be then. So I'm curious, you all think about that, how it's come up for you in the last month as we segue into Aquarius, which activates the new vision and unique genius within you and is asking us to solidify our freedom and individuality. Okay, in ancient times, in other cultures, in different ways around the world, whenever people were different, they would exile or abuse them and set them apart. It was dangerous to be different in some of our past lives. Now, it could save your life. Now it's the complete opposite, because if you're going to go with the sheep, you're going to go down with the sheep these days. So if you're not thinking for yourself and staying an individual and having your own consciousness and making choices based on your own body, mind, and spirit, you're going to get tripped up somewhere along the way, because what's for the masses is not for you all the time, certainly not people in this circle. So we're calling in that new vision this month, and it's so juicy. Let's get down, because this month is about incubating that new vision and beginning to fill in the details of what you would like to bring into form by the end of this cycle, which is basically fall of 23. Because this activation is in Aquarius, it is going to activate the Aquarius inventor within you, the part of you that is a visionary and can see possibilities that others do not see, the part of you that is always looking for solutions for the future. Your rich imagination has been activated, and you have better access to what you want to create going forward. Feel into that. You've been through a lot. You did your clearing at the Creative Center so that you could expand at this third eye. Now you have also created space for the new creativity and self-expression to take root and grow. It is time to make that connection to your unique contribution and prepare to share it with others very soon. You're supported to get super creative and think way outside the box as you call in the inspiration. Activate your imagination and make that connection to your own unique genius so that you can express it more. Okay? Deep breath. The Alchemist asks us to get even more creative and start combining different things to create something completely unique and of your own making. It is a powerful exercise to use your resources in a whole new way that creates altogether new options that were never possible before now. Your inner engineer can lay out the plans and possibilities, but your inner alchemist is the creator. You've cleared and released your old self, along with the old values and priorities, and you've come into your own in a new way so that you can now access a part of your own essence that has been growing within you over time. It's been developing. It needed to be developed. You needed to have certain experiences in order to unlock your imagination and free your mind so that you can conceive a whole new vision here and now. All right, deep breath. Teresa, I'm about to call you in a minute because I want you to speak before I get to my bullets, okay? I just want you to touch in on Aquarius and the Alchemist and the third eye. This month will fortify the connection to your light body and third eye chakra, initiating and reclaiming a completely new vision for your own life. It's time to activate your imagination and stretch your consciousness enough to go just beyond your normal limits. Push your edge. You have been consciously practicing with your new foundation, roles, and responsibilities. So hopefully you have gained access to new inner clarity and individual stability so that you have infinitely more options now than you did 9 months ago. Deep breath. Feel into that one. It's time to expand your reality by deepening your dedication to embodying your true purpose and being known for something completely new and different going forward. You can get more innovative now because you have access to new levels of power within, activating a new expression of your individual, sacred feminine mojo in a way that perhaps wasn't even possible until now. Deep breath. This is our general theme for the month, and I would just love to hear from Teresa on what she thinks Aquarius and being the alchemist and activating that third eye is calling in at this time, because she's also into astrology and tarot and has her own psychic abilities that she shares with us. So come on in, baby girl. Introduce yourself and maybe tell people a little bit about what theta healing is, or intuitive storytelling, your gift.
Oh, yes. Yes. Hi. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for having me. This is just such an honor to be here and share this space with you and everyone listening in, whether you're here live or later. I'm Teresa Reese. I am an intuitive storyteller. I come from a long lineage of storytellers, including my grandpa. That's who I really know I got my storytelling from. And if we think about it, our indigenous people and how that is how we communicated our experiences. So Spirit really uses me and my stories and the stories that they give to me to elevate and also enlighten. I always say I'm just a light. I'm just shining the light on the thing that Spirit wants us to talk about. When it comes to theta healing is an energetic healing modality where we look to your subconscious for what limiting belief systems and programs you're running on. So we're all just running around. A lot of us, most of what we're doing is being run by our subconscious mind. So it's the stuff we don't know. And we work to pinpoint those limiting beliefs, where we got them from, who taught us this. Is it from this lifetime? Is it on this level, or, an even deeper level? And so we can root those out and replace them with positive ones. It's really transformative, that work. And I have clients that are surprised at how quickly things move once we clear those blockages. And I also just use it to connect directly to source and before I do any of my own work. So I just love Aquarius energy. My natal Venus is actually in Aquarius, and I'm a Capricorn sun. And Aquarius is traditionally ruled by Saturn. And so people forget that Saturn has a revolutionary quality to it. The thing about Aquarius is Aquarius doesn't care what anybody thinks, but Aquarius cares about how people are doing. And that's the humanitarian aspect of Aquarius, right? Aquarius is not really caught up in what you think about them, what you're going to say about it. They're not into your opinion about it, but they want to make sure everybody's doing well. And so in order to have these big ideas and to have these innovative, we see it, one of the ways we see it play out a lot was with technology. Aquarius is very much linked to the technological advances that we see, but you can't really care about what people's opinions are about it. But Aquarius does seek for the greater good in general, right? And so I love what you were saying, Kelly, about, you were talking about being a sheep and how that's not really our thing. And Aquarius wants us to think about what is the difference between being a sheep and actually being in community. Because some people really mistake community for groupthink. And that is, if you get too caught up in the group, you can end up in groupthink. But Aquarius wants that freedom of thought, right? That freedom of thought, because the freedom of thought is what really connects us and what also lifts us all up, because that's all Aquarius really, really wants. So Capricorn gave us these really cool, concrete ideas, these rules, these structures, these boundaries, and Aquarius is like, cool. I don't like that one. That one's not working anymore. Let's tear it down. Let's rebuild it this way. And so with the connection with the third eye, yes. And that's the thing.
Let's people go forward, not backwards.
Yes. Let's think of a new way to do it. We don't have to always do it the way it's been done. And Aquarius challenges us to find a new way to do it. And it feels really uncomfortable. It's not a comfortable energy. Aquarius is not about comfort in that sense. And, when it comes to vision, you have to see it with your mind's eye before you see it physically. Everything that we bring into form was a thought, was energy first, and before we bring it down into form. And so Aquarius can really look past what they see physically, and they can see beyond it. They can see the new vision. And so really this time it's about cultivating your own ability to see past what you see in front of you. So like if you don't like your current life circumstances, that's not your end game. That's just where you are right now, and you have to be able to see beyond that. Same thing with your relationships or anything that you're trying to transform. And I think what Aquarius brings to people personally, wherever it is in your chart, is it brings innovation, and it brings this level of this higher level of understanding that is beyond human. That's why I think they, get referred to as aliens all the time, because they're not just thinking about what we're doing down here. They can see the big picture. And so wherever Aquarius falls in your chart, I think you have access to a really special new way of thinking in that area of your life.
Also, let me jump in with the community that we're dreaming about. And we touched on this when we were talking before our call, that we are calling in a new way of doing community out there post-COVID. And we're determining how much of our boundaries we really need and how much interaction, because a lot of us found out what kind of social creatures we really are. Under those circumstances, we realized some of it was, it was just a mixed bag of blessings and confusion and chaos. But we learned so much about ourselves and each other. And now, as we loose ourselves into the wild gradually, I want us thinking about that future friendships and community and supportive people who we're not obligated to or we don't owe anything to, but is just coming together for that communal experience, which I do think Aquarius rules. Yes? Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think I love how you brought up obligation, because Aquarius could care less about obligation. Aquarius wants true connection, which is not Aquarius gets talked about being so detached, because they are, in a sense. I don't need you, but I want to be around you. And it's this knowing that if we're all really caring about what we're doing and we're all showing up authentically, we're all respecting our boundaries, we're only going into situations that we feel really good and aligned with, then we're uplifting everyone, even if we don't like them, even if we don't know them, And so that's, again, it's about the greater good. It's not even about how you feel personally in that sense. And so it's like, what do you want your communities to look like? Do you just want it to be for show? Like, I have, it's like quality over quantity. Like Aquarius wants, like, maybe you only got a small, tight circle. This is my people. Or versus the person who's got, like, my phone is full of messages and everyone's hitting me up, but those don't really feed me or enrich me. Those experiences. I've gone out to all these parties and events and I feel depleted after. Aquarius isn't interested in that. So how do you imagine yourself out in the world? I always said the pandemic, as confusing and chaotic and painful as it was in some respect, it was a gift. And it's an opportunity for us to say, well, how do I want to live now?
Yeah. Yes. We got an actual reset and got permission to actually have some boundaries, okay? So that's a big thing in social collective realms. But now think about the Alchemist. What are the different pieces or thinking outside the box, and what if I mix this and mix that? Like, what's your 2 cents on alchemy and bringing divergent things together so that they work for you, the individual? That's where we're headed.
Yeah. So alchemy is this beautiful process of taking something and making it into something else. And when I think about alchemy, I personally, in the way it shows up in my life, it's the way that we all take our childhood experiences, the things that have happened for us, not to us, but the things that have happened in our lives, and what do we do with that, right? It makes me think of Chiron. I feel like Chiron is an alchemist, because that's the, my wound is my medicine. So I'm going to take my greatest pain and I'm going to heal through that. And so alchemy is saying, okay, we were given this. This is what we were given, even with the lockdown. Let's talk about COVID. Everything shut down. This is what we were given. And that on its head is scary. It's a lot of things. But then it's like, I no longer just am going to go out. I can say no to things. Or I don't really like my job. I want to change what I do. Or my relationships are so important to me, I'm not doing enough to cultivate those relationships. I want to do better. And so it's really taking something that as is may seem one way and deciding what you're going to do with it. And it's about how you alchemize that experience, because the experience, like maybe coming out of COVID is like, well, now I'm not going out anymore. Not that I'm a recluse, but I don't have to go out. I don't feel like it. I'm not going. And maybe somebody else's is like, wow, I really missed connecting with people. And so I'm going to make it a point to travel more, to see people more, right? Whatever it is. And so I think that the other part of alchemy is that it's not just the ingredients, like you're the ingredient too. It's what you bring to it. And really, it's like limitless possibilities. You can do whatever you want. You can make this however you want,
Yeah, I love that. All right. Well, let's dive into a few bullet points that you can marinate and come back and talk to us a little more in a minute. I want to touch in on a few specifics that we can meditate on this month that will help us make that connection to our own individual changes that we're bringing in. First, we want to invent something. Find a need and fill it. What are you doing that's good for the group? What are you offering? What are you cultivating? What are you bringing to life this year that you're going to bring into form that is completely different? We want to activate our creativity at a really deep level this year, y'all. We want to socialize with radically different visionary people who are on the cutting edge of developing new ideas and new stories and new ways of doing creativity and self-expression. And just that anything that's different from you so that you can unlock some of those grooves and those neural pathways that are so deep and get on some new paths. Start testing your magnetics. You're in a place now, especially those of you in the core class, where you have cleared and cleared and cleared, and now your magnetic field should be lighter and brighter. So now you should start practicing expanding your light and contracting your light. When do you need to be invisible, and when do you need to shine brightly? And start playing with that. Some of what Teresa was saying also made me think to remind you all how Leo is the opposite of Aquarius. So that attachment-detachment dynamic is always going back and forth between the two. And like she said, how deeply Aquarius cares comes from that Leo heart that's woven in there as well. And so if we don't care, we are going to be detached and aloof, and we're not going to be engaged. And it seems like with all the numbing and dumbing down that food and pharmaceuticals already does, we shouldn't contribute to that any further. We want to activate that passionate, individual soul self purpose. So for as much as I love Aquarius for the community, it's still about you, the individual, within the context of that community. Do you feel safe? Do you feel like a contributor? Do you feel like an equal? So I call everything a circle, because we are equals, and every single one of you, whether you're teaching literally or figuratively, you're teaching. In your walk in life, you bring this wisdom that is very good for the whole circle. And we always share our wisdom here. But tonight, the focus and this month's focus is to tap into your individual purpose and see where you're at with that. And what is authentic self-expression to you? Where do you kind of pull your light back when you should be shining it? And when do you shine it? When you should be kind of chilling and holding back and observing, right? Let's think about that. Building bridges, but remaining free and independent. So we want to make connections. We want to find the community or the 2 or 3 people we want to hang out with again, or get in social circles that feel good and uplifting. Again, no draining, no obligatory nonsense, none of that. We know that the deeper root of nice is being stupid and ineffective. We ain't trying to do that. So we're going to stay focused on what is authentic and feels good. And building those bridges means collaborations. If there's something that you're really good at and you know somebody that can complement that, get together, because it makes it so much more fun, just like what we're doing tonight. Cultivating community to support your creative life specifically is a very big deal. I'm learning from Yeye, because she demands that we create. And I have been in, let's say, the transitional period between deep, heavy-duty, hands-on parenthood and empty nest. So I've been in a transitional state, but now I'm grounded where I'm going to be, and I think I can work in more and more creativity, and it's so juicy, because the fun part about getting creative is because I now have better containers and better structures and better organization. So because of that, I can get super creative. But if I didn't have those things in place, I would have to build them first before I could even think about getting creative. So where can you take your creativity to the next level and have some people around it that support you? So, you know how they have book clubs, people get together and read the book. Why don't you get together and people who do your creative thing, whether it's poetry or music or singing or acting. I think Teresa's an actress. Maybe she can speak on that. Finding people that are into what you're into, and cultivating that support that helps encourage you to be creative, right? And to use that third eye. Oh, no, we didn't talk about the third eye. We're going to bring that back in, baby girl. We have to touch on that, too. And I only have a couple more. Honor your own individuality within that community. So kind of standing on your own. And that's another Aquarian thing, to be able to stand against a group if you feel it is righteous, and clean, or be able to stand up in front of a group, because Aquarius just rules that group thing. Connecting to your future self. We've talked about this all through the Venus Circle. Go 5 or 10 years older than you are now and ask them what they would like you to do now. And the last one is to see all life as kinfolk, relatives, and allies. There is an underlying current out there that wants us to look at each other and have fear, and I don't believe in that. every person that crossed my path, it's for a reason. And they say if you lock eyes with someone, you've known them in a past life. So I do believe that. Do you want to jump in here with some third eye energy? And how to work with it, activate it, open it up?
Yes. So I'm glad you brought up the Leo access, so that connection that Aquarius has with Leo, because it is so important, and it really gives you so much more nuance and flavor of what Aquarius really is about, and how it is about how you shine. And Aquarius wants us to shine for others. Like, how does my shine help others? And so it's so important to see how those two really work together and how they learn from each other, right? And that back and forth of, yes, we're doing this for the community, but I'm also doing it for me. And so not to lose ourselves. Yeah. So Aquarius and the third eye. So the third eye chakra is connected to, and Kelly and we were talking about this, connected with the sacral chakra. And I love that they are so connected, because when you think about it, what we want to create, we have to see it. Right? And so when I'm thinking around how we want to manifest and how we work through our manifestations, visualization is such a powerful tool, but we have to know what we want to visualize. You know, sometimes, me being a Capricorn, I'm really good at building something I've seen, but building something you've never seen before is very challenging. And so if I don't know what it is, I have to know what it feels like. And so getting into that creative center and being in my body in that way is what allows for that third eye activation, right? And so if I'm not sure, if I feel like I can't see the forest through the trees, everything is feeling hazy, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to dance. I'm going to get into my body. I'm going to activate my sacral chakra, because then once I'm in my body, it's like the clouds dissipate from my third eye, and it gives me the ability to feel into what I'm seeing. Another great thing you can do with the third eye is you could take some amethyst, you could lay it on top of your third eye and do a meditation and just allow the crystal, make sure the crystal is cleansed and everything, of course, and has good energy. But it really, amethyst is one, very protective, but it's also a visionary crystal in a sense, right? It's very much about opening those psychic abilities. Mm-hmm. And so putting it on there could be a way to activate it. And then really just setting the intention. I think, in the rising, when you're saying your prayers, ask Spirit to show you, or your ancestors to show you where they want you to go, show you what they want you to see, because here's the other link. It's whatever we're seeing in our third eye is not going to make logical sense. So don't try to make it make sense, which is something we humans love to do. We're trying to always make it make sense. Really, it doesn't make sense. It's not meant to, because it's beyond where we are in the moment. And so just trusting when you're asking for your visualizations, whatever it is that you see, when you're meditating, writing it down, noticing what things you're seeing a lot of, what patterns you're seeing, and then, just being asked to be led in that direction. Show me where you want me to go. Show me what you want me to see. And then allowing yourself to be open to it. But don't force yourself to see something. I think that's where we get blocked in the third eye, is when we're like demanding to see a certain thing. I want to see this. I want to see this. And that level of control, instead of it being just really open and allowing what it is to come through. We're going to talk about our intuition soon. Remember, our intuition's ahead of us. Yes. Our guides are ahead of us. Our higher self is ahead of. They already know where we're going. And so when we try to limit what we're seeing, we're just delaying the way there, if that makes sense.
Yes. Something you said was going to make me jump in and say that too. Yes. Is that to send your higher self ahead of you to do the recon, and we are going to touch on that. And how when they filter everything first, they've heard me talk about that too. And that's what I want you to think of your third eye as yours. That's your higher self. That's your Iwaju. That's your third eye that sees the vision in front of you. What we want to do is relax the inner trickster, which is at the back of your head and the base. So that part of you that we want to have that clear vision going out. So right now, this month, you want to ask for, what is your unique contribution? What is the unique piece that makes you different from other people in your zone, in your field, whatever you're up to, whatever you're creating at this time? And don't forget our monthly question. This month's question is, how can you expand your vision and radically change how you express your own creativity and make your unique contribution? So whatever you're on, expand the vision. Whatever you're up to and thinking about doing, it's time to really expand that. And now, So, yes, record again. You brought this up too. I love it. You're so funny. This is back to reflecting on March, April, y'all. We had our actual activation was March 28th. It was Aquarius then, so we released at Aquarius and we're reclaiming at Aquarius. That's rare. A lot of times the signs change. This time we did a really good, clean reset during this particular cycle. So back in the spring, we were clearing at the sacral. The archetype was the gambler. The gambler is the part of us that's kind of lazy and wants to live on luck and chance and things like that and doesn't want to plan. And then the trap 3 was soul famine, being hungry in our soul, right? This month we get to reclaim at such a deeper level and feed that on such a deeper level that I want to do our little story. So Teresa, hang back for a minute and I'll bring you in after the story before we go into divinations.
Okay.
And for everyone else, this story, I have some really juicy bullets, and I think I might just go ahead and rattle them off ahead of time here, and then we'll get into the story. And you'll know that I'm going to make this list so that we have it as backup too, because we're going to want to remember all of these things. Deep breath, opening to receive that which is just for you. There's always a special message for each individual. This is from Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And it's task number 3, navigating in the dark. So deep breath. Okay, this was what was so deep about this aspect of the story. But I love the story, and I want it on the recording because it will fill in the blanks for you. It will help you make the connections to what I'm listed here. This is also what's up for our month, and this is where we're so deeply supported. To develop your instincts and intuition, which is all about navigating in the dark, so that you can rely on it faithfully. Okay, we're developing our strengths there. I'd always tell you it's like a muscle. You got to use it, and then you get better and better, and you can rely on it more strongly. Developing your instincts and intuition by feeding it and following it, which makes it more responsive and reliable. Okay, when we stay connected to our intuition, it becomes much more reliable. Navigating in the dark also is our interior work and our transformational soul work. So there's something up this month as you connect to your own unique genius, you're going to go within. We might want to create a talisman to represent your intuition or your invisible support. You know, let's think about that. Healing the mother wound if she did not imbue you with a certain confidence of your own. And a lot of our mothers couldn't teach what they did not know, so we can't be mad. We just got to move on and learn. But this month heals that. Your instincts and intuition are never wrong. It's your interpretation. Okay? Deep breath. Your instincts and intuition will always push you toward the positive. They will always push you toward self-preservation. Okay, and where you choose the least fragmentation, that's when we're really sticking to our wholeness, staying grounded, all of that good stuff. And our instincts and intuition can detect motive and intention, our inner knowing and connection to divine reason. Okay, sometimes we got to go deeper. So that's another thing that you let your third eye, your higher self, go ahead of you on. Intact instincts and intuition, basically, when they're healthy and intact, shifts your default setting from what will be to let me see all there is, right? So we were discussing this, too, before the call, how some people look around and see what's available and choose from that. I like to go within, and I'm always going to teach you to go within, to feel into what you want and you deeply desire, and then look around and see what around you can help you accomplish that desire. Like a wolf, instincts and intuition has claws to pry things open and pin things down, okay? So there's another reason I've added Soul Sister Circle, and we're doing so much with the animals because I think it's a very important thing for us to get back to our true instincts. And embodying your inner wolf will help you activate a new level of your waking senses where you have access to them in the daylight, and when you're moving around and things are busy and people are in front of you, you can stay connected. When in the dark, first be still and listen, okay? Instincts and intuition are our built-in recon team. They go ahead of us to scout. You have an inner homing device, too, something that brings you back to your center, right? The disconnect between you and your instincts or intuition is only a perception, not a reality. We want to remember that, too. Before I do the story, baby girl, you want to jump in?
Oh yeah, I love those bullet points so much, and that especially the one about your instincts and intuition are never wrong. It's your interpretation, and it comes back to that idea of us trying to make sense of things as opposed to feeling those things. And so really the more connected to your body you are, because that's where our instincts live and our intuition lives, it lives in our body. And so we're receiving this message, maybe it's coming in through the third eye, and we're going to feel it in our body. Our body's going to give us information about what to do, but it's when we try to make logical sense out of it or try to make it fit into what we think it needs to be, that's where we get a little bit off track. And so that, number one. And number two, the mother wound. I mean, Lord. And I love how you said it. They couldn't teach us what they didn't know. What was always, for me on my own journey with my own mother wound, it's been the compassion that I've been able to find for my mother has helped me immensely just navigate, because I can't be mad at you. I can't be mad at you. It doesn't mean it didn't hurt me. It doesn't mean that it didn't set me back or it didn't, but it's, instead of wasting that energy and being angry at somebody who was literally doing the best they could with what they had, just like I am, and just like my sister is, and just like you are. And, and so the hope is that we now have tools that we can, whomever the children are in our lives, that we are passing this down to, we're doing it a little bit better. We're coming from a place of higher consciousness. That doesn't mean we're not going to mess up. That doesn't mean that they're not going to have their own wounds. And that is something that's really important to understand, is that I love the way my sister says it about my nephew. She's like, I'm going to mess him up for other things, just not the ways that I was messed up. It'll be something else. And so obviously that's not the intent, not intending to mess anybody up, but it's just, that's just the human experience, right? Right?
Can't teach what you don't know. Every mama goes through it. Deep breath. And that's why we love Aquarians and Aquarius energy, because it helps us unlock some of that and get back in the heart. And that does remind us that connection between Leo and Aquarius, because if the heart isn't engaged, neither one of them are happy. All right. And story time before you go. The value of storytelling and working in our imaginations for the story and checking in with, do you still believe that story, and is that really true, and can we tell another story a different way and make it more interesting, because that's what we're on the reclamation side, so we're calling in the new story we want to walk in. Like Capricorn being the overall theme means we want to be known for something new and have a different kind of reputation going forward. Thoughts, anyone?
I mean, it really is, we get to decide what the story is. We get to write our own story. And I love the word reclamation, because that is what adulthood really is about, is reclaiming our lives and our stories. And I think back of the way that I talked about myself in the past, about younger me's, and I was like, oh, that's not a great story. I don't really like that. That doesn't feel good. So how can I shift that story? How do I change the narrative? And when you change the narrative, you change your life. We're all operating on stories. And so the more information we receive, the more we should be changing the story.
That's the attachment part.
Yes, because then we get very attached to our stories. And this is when I was talking about theta healing, and we really hold on to these beliefs about ourselves that are not true. Everybody's worthy. Everybody is good enough. Everybody is deserving of love. But we might tell ourselves something different because of an experience we've had, and we hold on tight to that story because a lot of times we don't know who we are without it. And so the more you can get to know yourself, and I love how, this goes back to like, what does authentic expression really mean to you? Who are you without that story? And that's the hard part for some people, is to let go of that story, because then who am I?
Go ahead. The known hell versus the unknown heaven, right? The unknown, right? People will live in a known hell versus branching out and taking a chance, taking a risk, which is also Aquarius' thing. Take a chance. Be different. See what happens. Try it a different way. And just experiment. Don't be attached. Just experiment.
Don't be attached. And that's the thing, too, especially we're talking about the mother wound and these, like, really deep parts of ourselves that come from our family. When you start to shift your own narrative, the people who have been unable to do that or are not doing that, they're going to have a really hard time.
It'll also trigger a shift if they're capable.
Yes, it will.
If they're capable, they'll shift.
Yes.
If they're not capable or not ready yet, then
they won't.
Hang tight to their story, and you just got to wait.
And that is really how you heal your lineage. That's how you do healing your lineage in real time. Tapping into that Aquarius, like being able to stand against the grain, as you said, or just, I don't care what you think. I just care how you're doing. And so this story fits. This story fits me.
Yes,
okay, this is the story that fits. But it does. It's the unknown heaven. It's not an easy road. So not everybody's willing to walk that because it is. It's it's unsettling. But Aquarius loves the unknown.
Because there's always going to be resources there. I try to tell people all the time, whatever you need will show up.
You just got to get there.
I promise.
You just got to go.
Just get there. Just get there. That's right.
Yes.
All right, let's go. Story time. Everybody open to receive. This is so fun. Thank you, baby girl.
Yes.
All right, we will bring you back after this. Deep diving in. Okay, in this part of the tale, the dead mother's legacy, which is the doll, guides Vasilisa through the dark to the house of Baba Yaga. These are the psychic tasks of this time. Consenting to venture into the locus of the deep initiation, which in the story is entering the forest, in our subconscious. That's our forest. In beginning to experience the new and dangerous feeling of being in one's own intuitive power. Breathe that in. Learning to develop sensitivity as regards direction to the mysterious unconscious, and relying solely on one's inner senses. Deep breath. We're developing our sensitivity and learning how to rely on our own inner senses. Learning the way back home to the wild mother, which means heeding the doll's direction, following your intuition, taking action steps behind what you feel. Learning to feed the intuition is when she was feeding the doll. Letting the frail, know-nothing maiden die even more. As we mature, we let her go. Shifting power to the doll, which is her intuition. Then we're starting to come back into our own now that we've let go of different layers. Vasilisa's doll is from the provisions of the old wild mother. Dolls are one of the symbolic treasures of the instinctual nature. In Vasilisa's case, the doll represents the little instinctual life force that is both fierce and enduring. We want to be fierce and enduring too. No matter what mess we are in, it lives out a life hidden within us. For centuries, humans have felt that dolls emanate both a holiness and mana, breath, an awesome and compelling presence which acts upon persons, changing them spiritually. Okay, deep breath. We're navigating in the dark. We're in the invisible realms here. For instance, among rustic healers, the mandrake root is praised for its resemblance to the human body, with arms and legs of root and a gnarl for a head. It is said to be charged with great spiritual power. Dolls are believed to be infused with life by their makers. Some are used in rites, ritual, hoodoo, love spells, and general mischief. In Cuna, in the Isles of Panama, there are small wooden figures that were used as markers of authority to remind one of one's own power. So if you need to carry a crystal or carry something, make your own little doll that reminds you of your own power and intuition. Museums throughout the world are filled to overflowing with idols and figurines made of clay, wood, and metals. The figurines from Paleolithic and Neolithic times are dolls. Art galleries are filled with dolls. In modern art, Chagall's life-size gauze-wrapped mummies are dolls. Ethnic dolls fill railway gift shops and gas stations on major interstates. Among royalty, they have been given as gifts since ancient times as tokens of goodwill. In rustic churches throughout the world, there are saint dolls. The saint dolls are not only bathed on a regular basis and dressed in handmade clothing, but also taken for walks so that they might see the conditions of the fields and of the people, and therefore intercede with heaven on humans' behalf. The doll is the symbolic little life. It is the symbol of what lies buried in humans that is numinous. It is a small and glowing facsimile of the original self. Superficially, it's just a doll, but inversely, it represents a little piece of soul that carries all the knowledge of the larger soul self. In the doll is the voice, the one who knows. Deep breath. The doll is related to the symbols of leprechaun, elf, pixie, fairy, and dwarf. In fairy tales, these represent a deep throb of wisdom within the culture of Psyche. They are those creatures which go on with the canny and interior work, who are tireless. The psyche works even when we are asleep, most especially when we sleep, even when we are not fully conscious of what we are enacting. In this way, the doll represents the inner spirit of us as women, the voice of inner reason, inner knowing, and inner consciousness. The doll is like the little bird in fairy tales who appears and whispers in the heroine's ear, the one who reveals the hidden enemy and what to do about it all. This is the wisdom of the small being within. It is our helper, which is not seeable per se, but which is always accessible. Your instincts and intuition, always accessible. There is no greater blessing a mother can give her child than a reliable sense of the veracity of her own intuition. Intuition is handed down from parent to child in the simplest ways. You have good judgment. What do you think lies hidden beneath all this? Rather than defining intuition as some unreasoned faulty quirk, it is defined as truly the soul voice speaking. Intuition senses the directions to go in for most benefit. Okay? Your intuition is going to take you in the direction for most benefit. It is self-preserving. It has a grasp of underlying motive and intention, and it chooses what will cause the least amount of fragmenting in the psyche. Deep breath. The process is similar in fairy tales. Vasilisa's mother has set an enormous boon on her daughter by binding the doll and Vasilisa to one another. Being bound to one's intuition promotes a confident self-reliance, or reliance on that intuition, no matter what. It changes a woman's guiding attitude from what will be to let me see all there is. What does this wildish intuition do for us? Like the wolf, intuition has claws that pry things open and pin things down. It has eyes that can see through the shields of persona or personality. It has ears that hear beyond the range of mundane human hearing. With these formidable psychic tools, a woman takes on a shrewd and even precognitive animal consciousness, one that deepens her femininity and sharpens her ability to move confidently in the outer world. Deep breath, calling it in, calling it up. So now Vasilisa is on her way to gain an ember to rekindle the fire. She is in the dark, in the wilds, and can do nothing but listen to the inner voice coming from the doll. She is learning to rely on that relationship, and she is learning yet one more thing. She learns that she needs to feed the doll. Okay, deep breath. What does one feed intuition so that it is consistently nourished and responsive to our requests to scan our environment? One feeds it life. One feeds it life by listening to it. What good is a voice without an ear to receive it? What good is a woman in the wilds of megatropolis or daily life unless she can hear and depend upon the voice of Lake Sabe, the one who knows? Deep breath. I've heard women say it, if not 100 times, then 1,000 times. I knew I should have listened to my intuition. I sensed that I should or should not have done such and such, but I didn't listen. We feed the deep intuitive self by listening to it and acting upon its advice. It is a personage in its own right, a magical, dollish-sized being which inhabits the psychic land of the interior woman. In this way, it is like the muscles in the body. If a muscle is not used, eventually it withers. Intuition is exactly like that. Without food, without employment, it atrophies. Deep breath. So we have to use it, work it, learn how it works for you because it's individual to everyone. The feeding of the doll is an essential cycle of the wild woman archetype, she who is the keeper of hidden treasures. Vasilisa feeds the doll in two ways. First, with a bit of bread, a bit of life for this new psychic venture. And secondly, by finding her way to the old wild mother, the Baba Yaga. By listening to the doll at every turn and every fork in the road, it indicates which way is home. Deep breath. You've got to follow that. Back to your own base. The relationship between the doll and Vasilisa symbolizes a form of empathic magic between a woman and her intuition. We, like Vasilisa, strengthen our bond with our intuitive nature by listening inwardly at every turn in the road. Should I go this way or that way? Should I stay or go? Should I resist or be flexible? Should I run away or toward? Is this person, event, venture, true or false? Deep breath. We have to filter a few questions at every turn. The breaking of the bond between a woman and her wildish intuition is often misunderstood as the intuition itself being broken. This is not the fact. It is not intuition which is broken, but rather the matrilineal blessing on intuition, the handing down of intuitive reliance between a woman and all the females of her line who have gone before her. It is that long river of women that has been dammed. A woman's grasp of her intuitive wisdom may be weak as a result, but with exercise it will come back and become fully manifested. Ashe. The dolls serve as talismans. Talismans are reminders of what is felt but not seen, what is so but not immediately obvious. The talisman, or the image of the doll, reminds us, tells us, sees ahead for us. This intuitive function belongs to all people. It is a massive and fundamental receptivity. Not receptivity as once touted in classical psychology, that is a passive vessel, but receptivity as in possessing immediate access to a profound wisdom that reaches down into women's very bones. Deep breath. It's in us already. We just have to activate it and bring it out. Ooh, deep breath. Teresa, any thoughts?
Ooh, I mean, yes. And this comes back to some of the things that we were talking about. It really is this ability to receive and then trust what's being received. And it is so unique. And I talk to lots of the people that I work with about how to get in touch with your intuition and what to do. But at the end of the day, you have to feel into it. I can give you some ideas and suggestions of ways to engage with it. And me personally, I like to, invite people to do it in low stakes situations. Like, what do you want for dinner? Or something that isn't something that isn't crazy. But it's just like, ask yourself what you want for dinner and then notice what comes to you. How does the message come? How does it feel in your body? Because when you eat whatever it is, if you wanted that or not. You'll know immediately. And so it's just a way of, it's kind of like, being in the gym. You've got to be in the gym with your intuition. You have to practice with it in every situation, because our intuition is not only guiding us in big moments, it's guiding us all the time.
All day. That's right. It's guiding us all. It's that pause to receive. You got to pause to hear it. That's the pause we're not trained on, right? We just go. But
we are conditioned against it.
Then you pause and ask.
Yes. Our society has conditioned us to do the opposite. We're taught not to stop. We're taught not to. And then now with the way technology is and how accessible it is, and we're on our phones and we're on this and we're mindlessly scrolling, it's not a pause. It's not quiet. And so it's really finding the ways to give yourself that moment. You don't have to respond immediately, because what happens is the more you engage with it, the faster you act on what you know.
That's right.
The more confident you are with it.
Respond. That's right.
Exactly. So it becomes very in the moment, right? Obviously with bigger things, you might want to take the pause, but it becomes easy. It's like watching, I love a good sports analogy. It's watching a team that's like a championship team that's just playing perfectly together. Those like backwards passes in basketball where the no-look passes, like how'd you know they were going to be there? It's just, I know. And they don't have time to stop and think about it. They just have to do it. And so when we are really in touch with our bodies and really in touch with that intuition, we're able to just do it like that. It's the no-look pass. It's easy. And so I invite you all to just notice all the different ways your intuition communicates with you throughout your day. Notice all the little things, and really setting that intention when you rise every day and say, I'm trusting myself. I'm open to being led, because it's really being led. And I like to think of my intuition as like the direct line from God or the direct line from source, my higher self. Like that's the phone. That's the bat phone. And that's how they're getting in touch with me. And so I'm not You don't want to send God to voicemail or source to voicemail. You don't want to send your higher self to voicemail. Come on. Like, that's not what you really want to do. So when you think of it that way, it's like I'm open to that. I'm open to receiving the call. I'm going to answer the call. And yeah, go ahead.
That also keeps you alert to opportunities that you wouldn't naturally pick up on, right? So when you're alert to something different in your field, you're alert to what is Spirit presenting in this moment, then you catch something you might not have caught buzzing through on your own regular rhythm, So we do want to break it up and shake it up this month and try some different rhythms and know that we're doing some very deep processing. I didn't talk about the chart of the Sky Council, but all the energy is in the third house of how we think and process information. And it's crammed in there with Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries planets. So it's a party, honey. Everybody's bringing their thoughts to the table and going, here, what about this? What about this? What about this? And so we do have some processing to do where our intuition and our third eye imagination is going to come in handy because, again, it's back to what you really desire and feel in your heart that you can be passionate about and connected to and go forward with. It's really juicy. So the last two things I've got to cover before we do any kind of meditation, good. I just have the tarot cards, and then we can maybe do some questions and then maybe do a meditation. So how are we feeling? Feeling good? Okay. So I'm going to do this one for the benefit of folks dropping in. One of the decks that we're using is the Ancestor Spirit Oracle card. The art is Belinda Morris, and the text is Jade Sky with Leela Williams. This deck is so amazing because every single card is from a different culture. So we've all been branching out that way as well and looking for wisdom from various cultures. This month's culture is the Lakota, the Native American culture. They belong to the Great Sioux Nation, a group of tribes indigenous to North America. The practice of questing for a vision, is central to the Lakota people's spirituality. Before embarking on this quest, the quester visits a holy man for guidance. So we go to our higher self, or to a holy man if you can. The quester then enters a sweat lodge and shares a sacred pipe and tobacco to an isolated place where they will be alone without food or drink for 1 to 4 nights. The quester pays attention to messages, signs, dreams, or visions from their spirit guides. At the end of the quester's time alone, a symbolic object, such as a feather or stone, is collected and kept in their medicine bundle. The quester then returns to the sweat lodge, where the holy man helps them decipher the messages and signs so that they better understand their meaning. Your spirit guides are calling you. They want to give you clear messages to help you on your true path. You may not be able to go on a traditional vision quest, but you can embark on a spiritual journey. Learn more about who your spirit guides are and explore ways of communicating with them. Make attempts to hear, feel, see, and sense your spirit guides. If you are unsure of how to communicate with them, meditate and ask for a sign about who your guides are, or ask for help from a spiritual friend or mentor. It is the right time to connect with your spirit guides. You are ready now. Do not be afraid, because your spirit guides are already guiding and protecting you since you got here. Pay attention to any object you feel drawn to, such as a crystal, rock, or feather, which you can keep as a spiritual talisman. If you find a special item, keep it safe and use it in your spiritual practice. So that's a lot of follow-up on all we just discussed, so that's pretty deep. Now this, I couldn't have made this up, y'all. We're using the Vision Quest Tarot for the other guidance, and I always pull one card and then one card to clarify. And I pulled the Son of Air, Rebellion, which is just so very Aquarius. And then the clarification was Father Fire, who is charismatic visionary. Both of these things make me think of Aquarius in a lot of ways, and the third eye. So the key words for Son of Air is rebellion, urge to be free, vehemence, restlessness, inner conflict, the vain attempt to fulfill the ego's desires, mental agitation. The inner message says the liberation phase, where one breaks away from one's own habitual drought patterns and those of others too, is one of the most important steps in growing up. This phase cannot be bypassed. With unflinching clarity, you have to recognize that struggling with your own inner world, your own phantoms, projections, and identifications will get you nowhere. Once you have seen this for yourself, the inner battle ends. You realize that it was you who projected the movie now playing on your internal screen. Deep breath. Outward manifestation says thoughts, when not supported and tempered by the heart, are not endowed with the positive, life-giving power that is possible. Right now, it is best to refrain from carrying your misgivings out into the world or involve more people in your resistance fight. Accept the message of this card and ask yourself what exactly you keep on fighting within yourself. Slowly learn to stay centered even in the midst of chaotic activity. Learn to rest in stillness within, the silence that clarifies all things for you. That silence is when we get receptive to our intuition. Charismatic visionary, one of the key words for Father of Fire, willpower, intensity, pioneering work, striving for freedom, impatient and sometimes hasty, thoughtless action, bold action, and motivation. Follow your inner vision while remaining true to your heart. Let your spirit dictate every action. Risk being completely yourself. Despite all human frailty, you are now able to gratefully acknowledge your many talents and use them to inspire others' participation in new projects. Deep breath. Outward manifestation says time to get cracking. Okay, that's the other thing about this time of year as well. We're starting to wake up to the new year. A flaming inner energy is in search of a new creative outlet. You want to overcome your previous limitations and find new meaning in life. So boldly go ahead and find a truly thrilling enterprise. Just make sure your actions are not just compelling, but also in accordance with your integrity and common sense. Imagine that. Woo, deep breath. Okay, Teresa, any thoughts? And Circle, any questions?
These cards are just perfect. That's what I was thinking when you sent this over. I was like, well, if people don't believe in how these tools are spirit talking to us, spirit said, this is what y'all are talking about here. Let me give you some cards.
Thank you to validate and confirm, which is all cards do, y'all. So that's
all they do. So one thing I was thinking as you were reading through this was your vision, the inner vision, it's, you're being called to something, not everybody else. And so when we're thinking of that Aquarius energy and like going against the grain and standing, like not everybody's going to understand your vision. So this is a time to stop leaning on others to validate your vision and start relying on spirit, your guides, your higher self to validate. Like that's all the validation you need. That's the cosign. You don't need anybody else's cosign. And so that I think that's where sometimes we trip ourselves up, is because not everybody's going to see it. They don't all understand it because it's not for them to see.
Right.
They'll see it when you bring it into form. So just remembering that. But I love the end. It's saying it has to be in accordance with your integrity and your common sense. Don't lose yourself in the process.
Yeah.
And trust that you're going to get what you need along the way.
Now, does anyone have any questions where they want to star 6 and pop in? We're having fun. But I also wanted to ask, Teresa, do you have a meditation that's easy and short that you could guide us through?
I do.
Okay, good.
I do. Yeah, I've been sitting because I love your drum journey. So I'm like, I love that. That's amazing. But I do have, we're talking about connecting with our higher selves and talking about getting that vision. I was like, why don't we just go meet up with them right now and see what they have to say?
I like it. If you want to walk us through that, I will mute and hang back. And nobody's star 6 yet, y'all. So what you doing over there? I know they're here, but we are a quiet group. We always just stay in process on our own.
We're talking about receiving. We're talking about being in an active state of receiving. And so everyone in this space is in an active state of receiving.
I love it. All right. The stage is yours, darling.
Thank you, my love. All right. So just get yourself comfortable, however that feels for you. If closing your eyes feels accessible, please do that. And just take a moment and let's do a collective breath together to get into our bodies. And when we're exhaling, I want us to exhale nice and slow. So we're really grounding into our bodies where our minds have been working as we've been listening. And now we want to get into our bodies. So taking a nice deep inhale in. Holding it at the top and release. And really just feeling yourself settle into your body. And letting your breathing become very natural, whatever it wants to be. I want you to visualize your most beautiful, sacred space in nature. It could be the beach. I know we have Hawaii in the house. She may already be in her most sacred space in nature, the woods, the mountains, whatever that is for you. And just taking a moment to see it, noticing the colors, the weather, the sounds that you may hear, any animals that might be around, the smells. And just feel what it feels like to be in that space. Notice how your body feels being in that beautiful place. And I want you to bring your attention to a path. And start walking down that path. Noticing how the ground feels beneath your feet as you walk. And as you're walking, you notice someone up ahead on the same path. And it is your higher self. As you get closer to her, you're noticing, what is she wearing? What does her face look like when she sees you? Some of you may even want to run up to her. You might be so excited. But have a beautiful moment of greeting each other, whatever that feels like for you. A hug, a high five, a little dance. Noticing what she smells like. Taking each other in. And now I want you to ask her, what is she doing these days? What does her life look or feel like? What are her days filled with? So now ask, what are some of the things she had to do to get there, to get to that place of her days being filled with everything she loves? You can ask her maybe even who's there, what kind of people she's around, what her community is like. And now ask her, what does she see in you that will get you to where she is? What are the beautiful, unique gifts and attributes that you possess that you're going to need, that are going to keep you well equipped on this journey? What is something she wished she had known when she was you? Now, ask her to show you the gift she has for you. She has a gift for you, and it could be that talisman that we were talking about. What is something that she would like you to have so you can carry your intuition and instincts with you all the time? Maybe it's a crystal, an animal, feather. She may not be able to hand it to you, but she is giving it to you. Now ask her if there are any other messages that she has for you, and you can share any messages you have for her. as you are getting ready to say see you later, because it's never goodbye, give each other a beautiful embrace, knowing that anytime you want to reconnect, she's right there for you. And now I want you to turn around and go back down the path. And she'll go on her way. And you walk back to the place where you started. Just give yourself a moment to just take this all in, all this information, all this love. Noticing how your body feels now. Send her some love and some gratitude. And start to bring your awareness back into your own body, and into the physical space in which you are in right now. Maybe you wiggle your fingers and toes. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. If you feel called to, you can jot down anything that came through for you. Or you can just trust and know that it's all in your body. Yeah. And if anybody would like to share their experience or how that was for them, please feel free.
Yes, please. That was amazing. And I'm curious about your Aquarius new moon call that you're doing on Sunday. Touch on that a little bit and how your new moon calls work.
Yeah, so every new astrological season I do a soul circle. What we do is we gather together in community, and I really go through the season itself and what we can expect astrologically, going over some of the major transits. I create affirmations and journal prompts for each of those. Everybody can come in with their questions. So if you come to the live session, you can ask questions that are more, personal to you. We do a lot of learning about astrology. I try to break it down and make it very digestible. And then once we go through that, I do an intuitive reading using oracle card decks where I channel some messages for the season. And it's all recorded. You get access to the recording of video and audio, as well as a PDF of the slides that I create for the session. Beautiful. So you have a lot of resources. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Wow. I think Kimberly's trying to star 6. We'll unmute you. Come on back.
This is Kimberly. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Hello. During the meditation, I felt like, I always feel like I'm in a forest, but I really felt like I was in a forest. And my hands felt full and they felt heavy. And so I know I received something, but I didn't see who gave it to me. But my hands felt full and they felt heavy. And so I will be sitting with that. And then throughout all of this, multiple, times 3 synchronicities and confirmations with centering, balance, and silence. And I feel like I'm being yelled at. Centering, balance, and silence. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I love it. Thank you for sharing, baby.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone else have questions or things to share? What animals maybe showed up? I immediately had some big cats, like I often do. Black Panther is the symbol of my mother, so she shows up a lot. Oh. And anyone else?
Hello.
All right now. Oh, Henry. Hello.
Hello.
This is my son, everyone. Hello.
Hi, Henry.
Mr. Aquarius. The head Aquarius.
How y'all doing?
He's the number 1. What you got, brother?
Yeah. I had a really good meditation. I saw like a jaguar walking with me in this forest, and a hawk flying over top, and that was very interesting to me. And also, I just felt like when I connected with my inner self, I felt very electrical, like charged with energy. So that was exciting. Basically, the message that I got was just to continue on my path, stay determined and full of love, and keep inspiring people. But I actually tuned in because I wanted to ask Teresa a question.
Yeah.
What are some other practices for your intuition that you would suggest? Because I definitely want to kind of get more in touch with that, and that was something you were talking about earlier, but I had jumped onto the call a little bit late.
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things about our intuition that I've noticed in my experience is that it really lives inside of our bodies. And so one of the best entryways into our intuitive selves is to connect to our bodies, to our physical bodies. So doing dance or shaking meditation, physical activity, things where you're just very present-bodied, I think is one access point, because you're now in tune with your body, because our intuition, our bodies are communicating with us constantly. And so what I also would recommend is start to really make that intention of, I'm going to be really aware of how my intuition presents itself throughout the day, right? How does that little voice sound, or how does it come through? And notice where in your body you feel it. And it'll be different for everybody. So for me, a lot of times when I know that I'm getting that intuitive hit, I get a very warm sensation on the right side of my neck and shoulder. And it feels like it's spreading. And that's like this. It's very calm and it's warm. And it's like, oh, okay, I know that's what it is. And so I had a spiritual teacher, basically, she called it like a tell, like in poker. It's like something that your body is kind of giving to you to let you know, like, hey, this is the thing. Another thing that I could recommend.
Oh,
go ahead.
So hold on.
Yes.
You're talking to a professional athlete, though. So you got to.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. He is very in tune with his body, unlike the rest of us.
Yes. So then I think for you. Yeah. So I think for you, what's going to be the challenge is you're very used to telling your body what to do. As an athlete, you are telling your body to move this way, to lift these things, all of that, right? And so
I definitely feel that.
Right. So now it's going to be, I'm going to let my body tell me something. And so it's really tapping into that part of it too. Because what sport do you play?
Basketball.
What you play? I love basketball. Great. So this is like what I was talking about earlier, right? Those no-look passes, all those things. That's when you're just so present-bodied, you don't have to think about it. And so I think for you, it's like really setting that intention of, I'm also going to listen to what my body is telling me. Because also as an athlete, you push through pain sometimes. You push through the things that your body is telling you. And so for you, it's going to be starting to really get in touch with what your body wants you to know in the moment. Another cool thing I like to use that is a visual is a pendulum. Are you familiar with pendulums at all?
Yes, we're working on it now.
Okay. I mean, listen, I know who your mama is, so I figured you might. But, getting one of those and using that in everyday little decisions or things like that, I think will help you create this is a visual representation of my inner knowing. And so that sometimes can help open the door to your intuition.
And what about muscle testing?
Yes. Oh, muscle testing. So muscle testing, and this is something I got introduced to when I was doing my theta healing training, and there's various ways to do it. So our bodies, our conscious mind might think one thing, but our bodies know the difference, and our bodies won't lie. And so you could do a sway test for yourself. You could do it with your fingers where you put your middle finger and your thumb together, and so I would say, my name is Teresa, and my fingers, I can't break them apart. And if I say my name is Couch, they break apart easily. It's easier to do that have somebody else to do it that way with you. But the sway test is great. If you just stand upright, you get yourself into a nice, calm, centered space, and you ask yourself a question, say it out loud, or make the statement out loud. You make the statement. You can ask yes or no questions similar to what you do with a pendulum, but you could just say, my name is Teresa, and then I'll notice my body sways a little bit forward, right? So I'm going to notice, and then I'll say, my name is Couch, and I'll notice what my body does. Because again, our bodies it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. So ask those really easy questions or make those easy statements where you know what is true, what isn't. And then you can use that for do I want pizza? I want pizza. I sway backwards. I don't want pizza. And then you could do it for even bigger decisions of where you want to go to school and do I even want to be with this person, whatever it is. But yeah, muscle testing is great. But again, it's all about being in touch with our body. So I love that you already have such a gateway into your body, and it's just going to be getting out of your head, I think, will be the challenge.
I think that's a big thing for me, because even though as an athlete I do understand my body a lot, I'm still in my head a lot. I mean, being in Aquarius, like, I'm very mental, very tuned into my conscious mind. So kind of getting out of that and letting my body lead is definitely something I can work on.
Yeah, and just the conditioning that we're given, you know, as a male in this incarnation, like, you're not taught to listen to your body like that. So, you know, giving yourself a lot of grace, and it takes a lot of practice. Think of it as data collection, you know, like the same way you do when you're working towards a goal athletically. It's like, I'm just taking in data. So every day I'm noticing when I didn't trust myself, what were the outcomes? When I did trust myself, what were the outcomes? And what did my body feel like? That's your key question. What did my body feel like when I listened to my intuition? What did my body feel like when I didn't? Because then you're going to be in your body, and then you're going to be like, oh, that's not it. That's not the right answer. I know that because this is my body's telling me. Yeah. So I love listen.
And then
I love this.
Wonderful. It's a superpower.
It is. And I just love, first of all, I love that you're on this call. I love that there's male energy in here. And I love that this is something that you are consciously working on. This is amazing. I love that.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you, darling.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to speak up? Well, we got her. I'll see her on Sunday. Is actually Henry's birthday when I'll be on your.
Oh, yes! Happy birthday, Henry! Yes.
There goes that 22 again. That's why I like it.
That 22. Yeah, we were talking about that today. Yes. That 22. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And he'll be 26.
Wow, that's a good time. Oh, you're really going to start to know about yourself now.
I already feel it.
Yeah. This is when you're waking up and going,
the awakening is underway.
You're like, what is my life and what am I doing? And yeah.
Welcome to the next level. Welcome to the next level. All right, ladies. Anyone else want to jump in? I'm so grateful for your time and energy. Thank you for checking in. Anyone? I'm so grateful to you, Teresa. Thank you for being here too. I am just beaming over here. I don't know how to act.
Same.
It was a good day.
I'm like, I'm high on life now. Now I got all this energy.
Good. Now go channel something beautiful, and I'll see you Sunday.
Yes.
And everyone else,
looking forward to Sunday.
Yes. I will kick this out, and all her contact info and things will be in the post-call goodies. And so you can reach her if you need to, and reach out to me if you need to. And I will talk to you all soon. Thank you, everyone. Much love and gratitude.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you. Peace and love.